On today's Hashi, I'm discussing a CNBC interview with the Compass CEO, the gap between new and existing home prices, and a record 700 billion in unsold listings. Today is Tuesday, June 3, 2025. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Live from Connecticut. Let me know in the live chat which market you are tuning in from. And if you just joined me from our live role play, members only inside of school for BAMX members, we just had a 9 to 9:30 role play, talked about fence sitting and price adjustments. These are conversations all summer long that we're going to be having. Okay. And, really this comes down, real estate agents, this comes down to one thing, CAC. If you're on the call, you know what I'm talking about on that. That's one of those things that insulates you from those conversations, obviously, that are going to continue to happen over the summer. There's going to be people that just can't seem to get off the fence. There's going to be buyers and sellers that can't wrap their mind around an economy that's in flux. I'd argue that's the best opportunity. I'd argue right now there's more opportunity over the summer than there has been in years. We talked about it yesterday. You can go back, watch the replay. We put the replay, obviously, it stays up here on YouTube, but the replay goes to Spotify and Apple. If you like to listen to replays better there, it's available for you. We talked about where inventory is going. We're going to hit the 2019 levels nationally. Like it's just a given. We have months ahead of us of continued increased inventory, single family up over 800,000, 2019. Okay. But before we ever knew what a pandemic was like to live through, we were only in the 900s, but we're going to get there. We're ripping off 15K increases a week at this point. Listings are coming over the summer. Sellers are late to the game. And this is just the reality. I mean, the truth, I said this on the rope, like the truth is, when was the best time to list this year? Well, it's not today and it's not tomorrow and it's not any time in the future. It already passed you. Okay. I mean, that's the truth. So people are going to have to sell. Prices are still near all-time highs. There's downward pressure in some markets, but we're in the early innings of some change that's driven by inventory. Robert Reffkin jumped on CNBC, Compass, in the industry headlines a lot, obviously. Somebody that everybody's paying attention to just based on his business model plans. I got no problem somebody building out a business model. I'm not emotionally attached to what Compass does. Is it going to win more clients? Remains to be seen. Zillow's making their moves. You got to compete with that. You can complain all you want about Zillow having listing standards. Their business. They've got a better mousetrap for attention. They're the portal. I said this. I was on a Zoom call with Ryan Serhant for some of the Serhant agents recently, and we were talking about Zillow a little bit. Like, hey, it's they make rules. Their rules are more significant and more closely, should be more closely watched than NAR rules. NAR rules it's made up. It's like my two little kids playing Playhouse upstairs. It's all make-believe land. It's fairy tales, okay? Zillow's got rules, and they mean something. They're impactful, okay? When Zillow makes a rule, it impacts your client. Sitting for breakfast the other day, got off a flight here to Connecticut, go to this little French place, get my little salmon lock. Didn't have breakfast before the flight, so wanted to get something. They could do a great salmon, a little French place in this small town, Old Saybrook in Connecticut. And I'm sitting there, there's two people each side of me. Okay. One couple talking real estate, the other one talking renovations. Everybody's interested in what we do. Everybody's interested in what we do. But what the couple next to me said, he goes, "Hey, Zillow just listed this house. Didn't say so-and-so listed this house. Zillow just listed. And Zillow said this. And it said this on Zillow about that." Guys, Zillow's rules mean something. They're meaningful. They're not make-believe. They impact your clients. Just the truth. Okay. And so feel how you feel about Reffkin or Zillow or any of these things. I got no problem with it. But Reffkin's obviously been getting a lot of headlines for a lot of reasons, and CNBC invited him on to talk about predictions for the remainder of this year. So pending sales, we talked about it yesterday, drops. Reffkin addressed that, the 6.3% decline in April home pending sales. Let's jump in and hear from Robert Reffkin, CEO of Compass, on the pending home sale drop, what that means for the future. Is it going to be a softer market? Let's go to Reffkin here.
This night is Compass co-founder and CEO Robert Reffkin. What are you seeing in activity? Does it jibe with some of the numbers we're getting in April? Really weak on pending home sales, but better on new home sales.
So pendings are down 6% year over year, but that's really because the noise was up in April. I expect in May that we'll see a reversal of that trend. It's actually a great time to be a buyer. You have inventory at 5-year highs. The inventory is over the year has been flat year over year in terms of price, while wages growth has gone up 4%. Mortgage rates are 50 basis points less than they were this time last year. So affordability is actually
really high.
They are still just under 7%. Yeah. We would like them to be in the low 6s. I would love for it to be in the high 5s. I think when you get to high 5s, you'll be back at mid-cycle transaction levels.
I mean, one thing Reffkin should have come out there with, they're still really high. Well, they're below the 50-year average. And see what her response is to that. Like, they're still really high. Yeah, I mean, if you were born in 2001 or 2021 and you only know the last 4 years, if you were dropped on planet Earth from Mars in 2021 and that's all you know is those rates, they seem high. They're lower than the 50-year average. Okay, so listen, they could be a lot higher with the debt this country's carrying. So yeah, Reffkin, do we want them to be 6? Yeah, I want them to be 5, of course. No question about it. Love to see that. Love to see the market open up. I think to his point of great buying opportunity. Yeah, some of these things that just mentioned are pushing so many to the sidelines that this is the situation that we have. Now, I agree with another thing he said. May is going to be better on pending home sales. Altos research already showing that May was better on pending home sales. Real-time data, NAR's data, obviously, rear view mirror. April shows a 6.3% decline. We should see a pop in May. Still a pop that is kind of just bouncing off the floor. We're still trending around 4 million existing home sales. That's a floor number. That's a bottom number. That's a low, one of the bottom 5 in the last 25 in almost every single market. It's bottom 5 sales, single family homes in the last 25 years. And particularly, one of the areas where we're talking about inventory becoming an issue is regionally. And so Reffkin has some thoughts on that. Some of this regional inventory growth. The conversations are wrapped around inventory right now, but it's bifurcated. Let's listen in.
A lot more for sale.
Why? What's driving that inventory surge?
What's driving the inventory? It's really the southern states. And so you have 9 states with more inventory than there was in the pre-pandemic period. And all those states have prices that are actually flattened down year over year. Those states include Georgia, they include Texas, they include Florida. These are states where they used to get a lot of migration from the north and the northeast, where the migration is not moving down as much as it used to in the past.
You said April was full of noise. The tariffs, the market falling, and you expect May to rebound? You're seeing the sentiment swing?
Yeah, we can see in the data, we can see it in the company that the pendings in May will be up year over year.
So that's a big thing there. We can see it in the company. Remember, Compass pumps out the most transactions, if not the second most transactions, depending on how you want to look at that nationally. So, they've got data that is soft data because it's one company, but it's very viable. And so he's looking internally. Hey, nationally, heads up. May is going to be an increase on pending home sales. What I would have added there is heads up, like an increase off of a very low number in April. And, we're not back on transactions. That's why it's going to be a really significant, meaningful time for serious buy. Hey, if you tell me you want a deal, your ability to negotiate this summer might be better than any time in 2026. Do I know what's going to happen in 2026? No. Are we going to be in the talked about recession that we've been talking about for 3 years? Are we going to be in major trade wars? Are we going to be in some type of a war? Is unemployment going to still be 4? Or is it going to be 5? These are questions that nobody has answers to. So to answer where prices are going to go in the summer of 2026, what I know is you've got more negotiating power in this summer 25 than you've had since, 2019, 28, probably 2018 summer remember, if you were in the business in 2018, the whole story around 2018 was high interest rates. Okay. Then we got over that in 2018 and 2019 became a very strong market. So, maybe since 2018, you got the most negotiating power outside of the first 60 days in, March and April 2020, when people were washing their groceries, myself included. So, there's never been an opportunity like this in the last 5+ years. Let's go to home prices and inflation. What does Reffkin think about home prices? Again, nobody knows, but what does he think?
There's some good data out of Redfin today about the spread between the number of sellers and the number of buyers. You got to go back 12 years or so to get that kind of difference. Does that mean prices are going down?
It's more likely that they go down than up in the second half of the year, but I would expect them to continue to be flat. But recognize flat is actually down in real terms, because if inflation is up 3% and you're flat, then you're actually down.
Right. Why aren't you expecting prices to fall more?
I still think that I would expect a lot more buyers to come off the sidelines. It's really been a must-move market for the last 4 years now, where the only people that moved had to move. We call it the 5 Ds.
5 Ds, yes, of course.
Diapers, diplomas, diamonds, divorce, death.
I don't know where I don't know where you can look a seller in the face right now and say that in the second half of 2025, I expect more buyers to come off the sidelines. Now, if interest rates hit 6%, something like that, guess you can make that argument. Still don't think it hits peak levels of, where we were at just a couple of months ago. But I mean, we've got decades of data that shows buyer demand does nothing but go down from this point till the end of the year, and obviously even into January. So not sure how you can look a seller in the face and say, I expect buyer demand moving forward to pick up. I don't know. I can't predict the future either, but all the hard data of years past tell me buyer demand is going nothing but down to close out the year, because it does that every year. What he said about prices, I expect prices to go down second half of the year. They do every year. They're always the highest in June, and that's reflective of April deals. So to say that prices remain stable because buyers are going to re-enter the market, I just don't know that. I have a feeling more buyers are going to stay on the fence than they are going to say, you know what? Let me take the opportunity now to come in and negotiate with rates at 7. I like this play for a buyer. It's contrarian. It can be aggressive. You can have an ability to negotiate while people are getting less tours and less offers. I just don't see it as a viable prediction based on decades of information that we have. Affordability and hotspots, Haley, and then let's close out with the hottest market topic that he has there.
But now we're seeing that pent-up demand, speaking with our agents more and getting ready to purchase.
Except qualifying income for a starter home just keeps soaring. It's over $101,000, $102,000. I mean, don't prices need to come down for more people to simply be able to afford it?
The more prices come down, the better. But again, if it's flat, it is down when you have inflation at 3% and wages going up 4%. And so we're starting to see some relief, and mortgage rates are down 50 basis points. The mortgage payment is lower than it was a year ago. Mortgage rates are the key. the most essential portion of
we always come back to the same
Yeah.
basic premise. Mortgage rates are the key.
Yeah.
And they haven't budged much
All right,
on the downside.
let's actually skip hottest market. He's talking about the Bay Area. Listen, love the Bay Area and the agents that work really hard there, but it's not a relatable market to most people. He's talking about, NASDAQ equity markets, tech stocks kind of fueling still a hot market in the Bay Area, which is great. All right, let's go to National Association Home Builders. Their report here. There is a report for now all of quarter one here for this year, and median new home price for new homes and for the whole quarter. Where did it come in versus existing homes? We know just on the last report, the April report, that number is flipped, where existing homes were actually selling more than new homes. But where was it for quarter one? Did that flip in the first quarter? We'll get into that here. Also, in this report, we got percent of builders now cutting price in May, so that's a big one. How many are actually cutting their price right now? I think that's relevant information when you're looking at a price adjustment scenarios. We were talking price adjustment on the role play here in BAMX just at 9 a.m. this morning before the hot sheet. I think this is relevant information to share with, a home seller. Hey, listen, builders are in a position where they have to sell. Okay. If we want to sell, this is a strategy that builders are using on top of concessions. The number's even bigger on concessions. So, bringing that to the attention, what would we do if this house was brand new and we weren't living in it? Maybe you're going to keep the house. Maybe, that might be the strategy now that you end up talking about. But if our goal is to sell the house, this is what Wall Street professional sellers are doing. Okay. National home builders, they're driven by Wall Street. They're driven by making decisions. And this is something that they're doing right now to get homes sold. They're actually lowering the price. So we'll talk about how many are actually lowering the price. Okay. So NAHB, National Association of Home Builders, take a look at the first quarter of 2025. And when you take those 3 months, new homes were 14,600 more than existing homes. You can't even rent. You can barely renovate a bathroom, and most bathrooms you can't renovate these days for $15K. Okay. We're talking about like updating shower and tile and getting some new vanities in and some paint on an existing bath. That's the difference today between on quarter one and it's getting smaller or has already flipped in most markets where existing home sales for new. So listen, if you go to a lot and you're looking for a new car, look at the deals on cars right now. I see a whole bunch of ads on what these deals are, cars. If you went to the lot and you were looking at, you're looking at Tesla Ys, and there's a 2024 Tesla Y for $50,000, but you can get the brand new updated model Tesla Y. Hey, Haley, I'll show this real quick. I can show this. Look at these things. These things look slick. Model Y Tesla. You may not like Tesla, but look at that. That's the new one. You know what the 2024 model looks like. There were Teslas that sold for $60,000-$70,000. Okay. 2024 Model Y doesn't look as futuristic as this new model with the light package here. Looks different. You see them on the road. We're down in Naples. Model Ys are like a Honda Civic. They're everywhere. Okay. There's more Model Ys than there are mosquitoes in Naples. They're all over the place. So look at this, a brand new Model Y, $37,500. Okay. And that's after this. They always try to scam you here with this. So even add the 75, 45,000. You go to the lot and there's a 2024 Model Y, doesn't have the new light package. It's on the market for $50K. And you got brand new for $45,000, new light package, new paint options. It's fresh for 6 months. It smells new. You know, even when you smoke cigars like I do and your clothes reek, you get in the car for 6 months, you're going to get new smell. If you're very clean, maybe you're going to get 12 months of new car smell. Which one are you buying? Okay. If existing home sales are more than the new, you got to adjust as a seller or keep the property. I mean, you got to be competitive. Brand new is meaningful. I don't got to worry about the roof. My insurance is going to be lower because of that. All insurance companies right now, what are they asking? How old is the roof? They all want to know. They want to know a lot of details that they didn't even ask 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. I mean, we get the stories in Gulf Coast states and all of that. I'm talking up here in the Northeast, like, hey, how old is this? How old is that? They're asking age and denying too old. Okay. So, new is meaningful for a lot of different reasons, not just for the glitter and the glam. It's meaningful for insurance costs. It's more updated. It's more practical. It's technologically built so that, you know, you've got different features that feel 2025. And home builders are committed to selling properties. They're answering to Wall Street every 90. So they're trying to get ahead of what could be high construction costs. They're trying to get ahead of labor shortages that could be coming with some of the changes here in our country. Median sale price for new single family home was $416,000, only the $14,600 above the existing of $402,000. This is according to NAHB analysis, U.S. Census Bureau, and NAR data. I mean, when we look at, April, May, we're already seeing that number flip. The average difference over the last 5 years was 26,700, so bigger than the 14. The decade prior saw a gap of 66,000. Okay, I mean that feels more right. Existing home sellers' inventory goes up over the summer, don't have the advantage of being the lower priced option, might have the advantage of better. What I find with existing home sales and why it's so close right now, existing home sellers have the advantage of a better location. I prefer location over, you're new, but you're, 20 minutes out. So I always want to buy on location. Where the home is meaningful. Where it is in town, that's going to drive future price in a boom market. But there's a lot of buyers that don't see it that way. They want to buy a practical home for their family. 15-minute drive doesn't bother them. 34% of builders cut prices in May. Listen, they're driven by getting things sold. If you're a seller who's driven by getting things sold, Altos numbers has that at 38% of the market. So other sellers are cutting, builders are cutting. You've got to think about that adjustment, and you got to do it early in the process if you are a existing home seller. In April, it was only 29%. It's a 5% increase. Highest level since December 23. Okay. More than half of home builders, 60%, use sale incentives. So you could basically say all home builders are either cutting price 34% or 60% are using sale incentives. If you're not competing on those two metrics as an existing home seller, you're not competing at all. Those are the sellers that are going to be collecting, Zillow dust, Zillow DOMs. The Zillow dust is the DOM of our market. And you don't want to be in that situation. It creates a stigma. It creates a pause on tour. I don't know. Nobody else wants it. Okay. If everybody's ordering the same drink at dinner and you're down to 3, what happens? If everybody's going espresso martini, the last 3 people, you're probably going to hear another espresso martini. People want to be like other people. Redfin, they want to be like whatever Rocket tells them to be like, but they put out a report here recently. U.S. home sellers are sitting on nearly $700 billion worth of listings. It's an all-time high. Well, prices are at an all-time number. Okay, so they got to be careful with these, Redfin headlines. They write some interesting ones at times. Here's unsold housing inventory worth a record $700 billion. Home prices are at record prices. Okay, 22. You had low inventory. I mean, this number though. This number could balloon up to $1 trillion. I guess that's the one thing that would be, an eye-opening number, because we've got more inventory coming in our future, unsold inventory, active inventory onto the market. This number is going to continue to go up, not down. So 700 billion is the number today. When we talk about sellers, where do you want to be in that process? Do you want to be on the back end of the inventory process? If you got to sell in the next 6 months, now, don't wait. Don't wait for people to be done with summer vacations. There's going to be a glut of inventory in some markets come the fall. Doesn't mean the sky's falling. Doesn't mean price is going to go down 20%. But you're going to get used to a different day on market experience. You're going to get used to kind of like, weekly calls with sellers, agents, weekly calls, a lot of strategy sessions, unless you pick the perfect price up front. 90 days on the market used to be normal. 60 days used to be very normal. Okay. Got to get open houses in, the whole thing. Selling in a weekend, not as normal historically. Okay. So some of this stuff is going to normalize here as we see the supply come back. We're at a 5-year high today. That high is going to get higher. More sellers than buyers. Total number of homes in market nationwide rose 16.7% year over year, according to these Redfin numbers, highest level 5 years. Listen, they had a number recently, 500. Here it is. Another Redfin analysis found that there are nearly 500,000 more sellers than buyers in today's housing market. A lot of that driven from Florida and Texas and Arizona. I get it. If you're not in one of those states, it might not be as dramatic. But it does for every market, including the low inventory markets. For every market, it tells you what the summer and fall are going to look like. There's going to be more competition, not less, for selling your home. We're going to probably be in the best buyer's market, even if you're still in a seller's market. We're going to be in the best buyer's market we've been in since 2018, outside of those 2 months of the initial COVID shock. Extreme leverage switching in some markets to buyers, but momentum right now is switching to buyers in all markets. And you want to be out in front of that the best you can as a home seller. They're sitting on the market later. Typical home, Redfin reports April took 40 days to go under contract, 5 days longer than a year earlier. 60 to me by the end of the year is a real possibility. And it'll be more than that in some markets. Home buyer demand is falling. This is the point I made about the Reffkin comment. Home buyer demand, per the last 3 decades of data, is only going to go down the rest of the year because we're into the second half of the year. Okay. Outside of a sharp drop on the 30-year fix to 6%, you'll see a little pop. You'll see a market open up at lower rates, but it's just time of year. Hey, hot dogs and nooners for the summer. That's what's coming the next 3 months. How many of if you've got kids in school, how many of the parents are talking about vacations over the summer versus home shopping? Okay. You're going to find a lot more. They might be talking about everybody's interested in the market. Renovations, intrigue, interest, what's selling, numbers. Everybody's interested in the market. More people are interested in what are their plans for the summer. Then you've got beginning of the fall. Then you've got how the buyer demand drops second half of the year every year. It's the market we're in. Customer acquisition costs, acquire more customers for agents. So you're not reliant on a handful, or you're not reliant. Bluebird business. I sit with this guy I got to do a clip on this, Haley. Write a note on this and we can chat about it with Bobby. I got to talk about the Bluebirds in our business. I'm sitting at the cigar lounge with a guy IBM guy for decades, IT sales guy, running sales divisions for years. And I say, hey, what's your best salesperson look like? Somebody always committed to generating new business every day. They're working on their current business, but they never let go of generating new business on any given day. He goes, then you got your Bluebirds. Your bluebirds are the agents just waiting for that referral to drop into their lap, waiting for that connection in the community to be ready, waiting for things to fall into, I guess, because bluebirds fall. There was some connection to bluebirds. You can throw it in the comments if you know what bluebirds do. I guess they fall into, I don't know if they fall into somebody's lap, but they fall out of the sky, I guess, or something like that. Bluebird business. Things falling into the lap. That's not the play this summer. How do I acquire more customers? How do I place them accordingly? Now business or later business? U.S. Median home prices up 1.4%, according to Redfin for April, but inventory up 20.3%. So the pressure on prices will continue. Here's the 60-day look for sitting on the market. 44% of listings sitting on the market for 60 plus days. Remember, 44 days, that's 40 plus days. 40 days, I think, was the average there that we just went over. But almost 1 out of 2 homes, 44%, are going for more than 60 days. Okay, that's a significant increase from where we've been at. There's 331 worth of stale inventory. So we're talking 700 billion active homes in the market. There's 331 billion of stale homes that have been listed for 60 plus days. Okay. That's a big number. $1 trillion total inventory is a realistic possibility here in the future. And, I know to DC, that's not a lot of money because they spend our money, but in reality, $1 trillion, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of equity that's up in the air on the active inventory. Hey, sky's not falling. Opportunities for buyers. That's the summer that we're in. That opportunity doesn't get cheaper because of interest rates. The opportunity is there because interest rates are where they're at. Starting the day here on the 10-year at 4.22. That's near the high point for the last 90. 30-year fix yesterday ticked up a bit to 6.9, just a tick to 6.96. Still in that Walmart pricing level of below 7. Got a Real Word pod coming here on the YouTube channel later today. Hit subscribe and notification bell so you'll receive a notification when that goes up. Best way, free, simple, easy, painless way to support all the content we do here at BAM is subscribe to the YouTube channel. So we'll have the Real Word up later today, as well as what do we got? Office hours tomorrow? Oh, no, we got an office hours tomorrow.
We got a webinar tomorrow.
We had a webinar tomorrow.
Oh, wait, no, that's Thursday. Sorry.
We got a webinar Thursday.
Office hours tomorrow at 3. Content audits.
Members, content audits tomorrow. And then public webinar open to everybody. Drop that link. I'm going to be going through the exact script framework to generate 3 seller leads. So talking about customer acquisition, you want the script to generate more sellers today. I'm matching that up with props. We're just going to use PropStream data as an example. Here's the data. Here's the smart data. What's the script to go with it? I'm going to walk everybody through that. Also, members, you've got all your uploads, everything we talked about here today in the Hot Sheet Classroom. All of today's charts obviously available for you. Zudelio, who's our great partner here with BAMX. Everybody gets a free Zudelio platform if you want to generate 4 offers on every listing. Set a floor for your nervous sellers. Zudelio does that for you. And they also give us this data for each week. Top 10 housing markets for cash offers: Jacksonville, Orlando, Vegas, Memphis, Atlanta, Phoenix, Huntsville, Tampa, Dallas, Charlotte. That's your top 10 right now for the past week on cash offers. Okay, look at that. Some of these markets, investors are still seeing opportunity. Okay, you got high inventory in some of these. Tampa, high inventory. What are investors doing? This is what buyers should be doing. Investors are coming in and saying, I got cash, I'll buy this. Can I get a discount? That's what home buyers should be doing too. So, all right, there you go. There's your hot sheet for the week. I'll see you later on the Real Word. Until then, have a great morning and toodaloo.